What do you want?
Yeah?
Mr. Baylor, the man just went up heading toward your office.
Forget it.
What does the world look like to someone who is visually impaired? Yes, tell us all what you see. What do you see? What do you see? Tell us what is right, what is wrong, what is art, what is vision. We welcome you to A Blind Guy's View.
Hey folks, it's the Blind Guy here, and we are taking another look at a good old movie. And on this episode, we're taking a look at Out of the Past from 1947, directed by Jacques Tourneur, and not sure how to say that, and starring Robert Mitchum and Kirk Douglas, among several others. And before we get further into this, though, this video is, of course, sponsored by my right side up new novel, Epica's Lily. It's a fantasy novel. It is out on Amazon, and it's even available on Amazon Unlimited, Kindle Unlimited. So if you are a member there, if you just go and flip through this, it actually helps support the channel. I'm not monetized, so this is the best way to do it. I've gotten really good reviews so far, which is very humbling and also very exciting. And so I'd love for you guys to go check it out. And that's the sponsor of today's video. So first, as always, let's take a little deeper dive into the movie, and then I'll tell you my final thoughts about the movie on the other side.
The moment Out of the Past begins, you can feel the weight of it, that shadowy, fate-driven atmosphere that defines classic film noir. Released in 1947 and directed by Jacques Tourneur, it stars Robert Mitchum, Jane Greer, and Kirk Douglas, each delivering the kind of performances that seem carved out of smoke and regret. Mitchum plays Jeff Bailey, a man trying to live a quiet life running a gas station in a small California town. But the calm doesn't last. A stranger arrives, asking Jeff to return to the orbit of Whit Sterling, a dangerous man he once worked for. And suddenly, Jeff's carefully buried past starts rising to the surface. From there, the film slips into one of the great flashback sequences in noir. We learn that Jeff wasn't always Jeff Bailey, he was Jeff Markham, a private detective hired by Whit to track down his girlfriend, Kathy Moffat, after she shot Whit and disappeared with his money. Jeff finds her in Mexico, and instead of turning her in, he falls in love. That decision becomes the thread that unravels everything. What follows is a tight spiral of deception, double crosses, shifting loyalties, and the creeping sense that Jeff's hope for a clean slate was never more than a fragile illusion. It's a world of cigarette haze, quiet danger, and the kind of moral twilight where every choice comes with a shadow. When Out of the Past first hit theaters, it performed respectably, but nothing about its original release hinted at the reputation it would earn. Over the decades, it's been elevated to the top ranks of film noir, praised for its sharp dialogue, its fatalistic heartbeat, and the cool, unshakable presence Mitchum brings to Jeff. Critics now see it as one of the defining noir stories, made unforgettable by Nicholas Musuraca's velvety dark cinematography and Tourneur's steady, atmospheric direction. Today, it's known for its blend of beauty, dread, and inevitability, the sense that Jeff is walking down a path he recognizes, even if he can't bring himself to turn around. There's some great trivia behind it, too. The film is based on the novel Build My Gallows High, which was actually used as the title in the United Kingdom. Jane Greer's haunting stillness on screen partly comes from facial palsy she suffered as a teenager. leaving a subtle asymmetry that directors found hypnotic. Many of Mitchum's most iconic, cool moments, like brushing off a cigarette offer with barely a glance, were improvised on set. And the contrast in acting styles, Mitchum's relaxed naturalism against Kirk Douglas's sharp, controlled energy, created an undercurrent of real tension that Tourneur let simmer on camera. In the end, Out of the Past isn't just another crime story. It's a quiet meditation on choices, temptation, and the truth that you can only outrun your past for so long.
Okay, so there you have the general background to the movie. And let's talk about what this one's like. So, in my opinion, this is one of the top 4 film noir movies, which is really funny to me because if you had told me 10 years ago that I would be a fan of film noir, I probably would have laughed at you and then probably asked you what else is going to happen in the future. Because I never liked it growing up. I'd never been a fan of it because it seemed overly scripted to me. And now I think it's one of my favorite genres because it's not so much that it's overly scripted. It's just, it has really strong, it's driven by its dialogue and by its interaction. And now I really appreciate that, especially in the light of newer movies that use just such over-the-top camera work and just gimmicks and little almost like slapstickish type humor now in every single movie. We even saw that in some of the newer Star Wars movies where it's just like nobody knows how to write good dialogue anymore, except for like maybe the Coen brothers. And so, which is interesting because I was reading an article that they actually go back and they base a lot of their dialogue off of older movies. So I thought that was very interesting. So yeah, this is in a genre now that I am quite fond of. I also love in film noir the use of the black and white lighting, which is why I've never thought that like neo-noir movies really work as well. Now I am a big fan of Chinatown. I think Chinatown's a fantastic movie, but it's neo-noir, and so it's trying to play off of the film noir genre, but I don't think it can quite get there because part of what makes neo-noir what it is that use of that black and white beautiful film and the use of black versus white and the way that light actually falls on different objects and the way it illuminates people's faces when they're in the dark and stuff. When you watch somebody, especially films like this, when they really know how to use that, it becomes extremely beautiful. I remember the one with Jimmy Stewart, which I should have looked this up before I brought it up, but the Precinct 777, something like that. I'll have to do a review of it. It's really good, but it has several scenes in it that use the lighting so beautifully, where you have a figure who's almost totally black lit behind them, or that's the background behind them is almost totally dark, and yet their face will be lit slightly that makes them stand out. And that would be really hard to do with color. I think it'd be totally lost. So yeah, this looks absolutely gorgeous. I saw it on Turner Classic Movies and it's been restored. And it's just amazing how well they can restore a lot of these older films. So the portion that I put in this from the trailer does not do it justice. If you can get a good copy of it or rent it on YouTube or watch it on Turner Classic Movies, you're going to see it's absolutely gorgeous. The acting's extremely strong. The story's decent. It's a little bit convoluted at times, but that's just expected with some of these 40s film noir, like The Big Sleep. It's not that complicated, but there are some times where I had to stop and think for a little bit exactly what was happening because it uses flashbacks that can make the plot a little harder to follow. The dialogue is extremely strong. And in particular, the dialogue between Robert Mitchum's character and Kirk Douglas's character is so fantastic. It is so quick, and it's not necessarily natural because I don't think two people would be that quick-witted with each other, but it's still fun when you watch it. I really love that part of it. And Jacques Tourneur, I think that's Tourneur, however you say his last name, he's becoming one of my favorites from this time period because, I believe he did Cat People and Walked with a Zombie. And his movies just have such a beautiful atmosphere to them. And, you know, there's a portion of this movie that takes place down in Mexico. I don't know if it was shot there or not, but it's just so beautiful the way he shoots things. And so it's very good in that regard as well. My one gripe with the movie, and this is minor because it's a product of its time period, but my one gripe is I think this is a victim of the Hays Code, where you had to have some sort of righteous ending during that time period. You couldn't show any kind of malfeasance or crime paying off in the end. And so you can tell in this movie, I don't love the ending because I feel like the ending was just kind of shoehorned in there. It's like in the movie Alfred Hitchcock's Suspicion. The end of that does the same thing where you're traveling down this road, you're pulling for this one particular ending, and all of a sudden they just give you this other ending that you feel like they had to. So I don't hold it back too hard for that, but it is a little bit disappointing. Let me know in the comments if you guys think I'm totally wrong, if you love the ending of this movie, but I feel like it was just gearing itself up to something else rather than the way it actually ended. But this is definitely if you had a Mount Rushmore film noir movies, that'd be an interesting video to do sometime. I think this would be one of your 4 that you'd have to put in there. It's now I think my absolute favorite film noir is probably Laura, and because I love Dana Andrews' portrayal in that, the way that Dana Andrews plays a film noir detective is so unique in that movie and just so fantastic that he's probably my favorite of all time because he's a little bit against the type. But Robert Mitchum's much more of that, a little bit more of that classic film noir. He's not like Humphrey Bogart. In my mind, Humphrey Bogart's almost like the stereotypical film noir detective. But Mitchum would be a close second. And I like him, though. He plays very cool, very close to the vest. He's just very likable. I've always liked him in Holiday Affairs, one of my favorite Christmas movies. And he's got just a certain air to him that's just really cool. Well, I just don't think I don't think movie stars are that way anymore. Like, here's somebody who can just portray somebody larger than life on the screen in almost everything I've seen him in. And I just don't see them that way anymore. I think they're just too pretentious and they're just too kind of gross now. But he doesn't seem to be that way. He just is a larger than life figure in all of the movies I've seen him. You know, he does the cigarette just kind of dangles out of his mouth when he's smoking a cigarette. Yeah, he's very cool in this movie. It's got some, like I said, some cool scenery. I think parts of it were shot in the Lake Tahoe area. And it's just neat to see how all that looked back in the 40s and the little dirt roads that went places and things. So it's a neat movie. I highly recommend it, especially if you're a fan of film noir. It's one that you have to see. Like I said, right up there with Laura. I would give it high 7s, I think, if I was going to rate it, 7.8, 7.9, approaching that 8.0 range. Which you guys know that's like the bar. That's a very gold standard for me. I don't give a lot of 8 out of 10s. And so, yeah, it's definitely approaching there. So those are my thoughts on Out of the Past. Let me know what you guys think if you have seen it or if you're going to go watch it. I think it is definitely worth the watch. Like I said, brought to you by my novel, Epic as Lily. It's a lot of fun. I think you guys would enjoy it if you like a little bit more straightforward fantasy. It's not Lord of the Rings. It's not trying to be. But it's a fun read, I believe. And I'm totally not biased. It's not like I wrote it or anything. So go check that out. And I really appreciate all you guys do for me and all the support that you give. The comments are always fantastic on here. And it's always fun to engage with you guys on there. So I reply or at least like every single comment I read. If you guys ask me something, I'll always reply back as fast as I can. And yeah, just fun hanging out with you guys. We're actually getting close to being monetized. We need to bump our subscriptions up a couple hundred. And I think we need to get our hourly watches up a little bit for the past year, but we can get there. That'd be really cool if we could do that, because I don't think most people would think a channel that focuses on primarily classic movies would ever be monetized on YouTube, but we're getting there. We're getting there. We can do it. We will overcome. So I'll see you guys on the next episode of A Blind Guy's View. Take care, and laters on the Menjay.
Laters on the Menjay.
Night, stories written, pages bright, by his books, enjoy the sight. Oh, a blind guy's calling, hear his view, trivia tells and insights true, movies, myths, and books to choose, raise your glass to a blind guy's view.